Life FM.
Life FM.
Well, here we are in the dining area here at Jesus Church. It's really, really nice, very comfortable. Can't wait to have my lunch. But I'm joined with David Wolverton, the senior pastor here. Tell me, how did Jesus Church come about here on Commercial Road, Salisbury?
That's a very interesting story. How many hours? I should warn you, I'm an American, or I'm an ex-American. How many hours would you like me to spend explaining this? All jokes aside, we started the church 2011. It's coming up to our 4th anniversary. Can you believe it? 4 years. We started at the Salisbury East Community Center. And the reason that we started is that we were part of a medium-sized church. I suppose the congregation was somewhere around 170, 200, something like that. I don't want to say any names. It's not what this is about. But basically, the problem is that my wife and I are evangelists, for want of a better way of putting it. But we attract very different people. You know, people with mohawks and tattoos and that sort of a thing. We were bringing people in, and I suppose we averaged about 27, 28, 29 people that we brought in, and we observed that none of them had been connected to God. None of them were being mentored or discipled or encouraged or followed up or anything. And most of them were basically turning around and saying, hey, if that's your idea of God, we don't really want anything to do with it. These people are not friendly, they're not sociable, they're not anything. And I complained to my wife. You see, I'd done Bible college back in 1999 to 2001 at what's now Influencers. And I complained to my wife. I said, these people just aren't being loved. For example, one of the people that we did pioneer the church with, she has a beautiful young son, and it was like everyone wanted to know the son, but no one wanted to know the mother because she was unwed and hadn't done things the right way and so on and so forth. And so my wife said to me one day, and we talked about planting a church for a long time, and it was always like, no, the time's not right, no. And she just shocked me one day, and she said, well, look, why don't we have a look at some community centers and that sort of a thing. So we did.
Now, what about the Feed the North program, setting up this fine dining experience for pensioners and unemployed? How did that come about? Who did that idea?
Well, it was a combination. I had the original idea, but the person that you're going to be presenting the award to had the same vision 20-something years ago. So 20-something years ago. And he'll be able to tell you that himself. I don't want to take away his story. But basically, I think, as I was saying to you a little bit earlier on, I think that the church has to be a verb. It has to be about doing as opposed to talking. A noun's a person, place, or a thing, as we all know. A verb is an action word. Love is not love unless it is in action. It has to be in action. And I think that to really be the church, we have to be about the business of doing what Jesus talked about and what he modeled for us, which is feeding the hungry and clothing the naked. So that's basically, as I said to you before, I don't want to have this building empty Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and only open on a Sunday. That's not a church. That's, I don't know, some kind of social club. I want for this to be the heart of the northern suburbs, in that everything that the community needs, whether it's English as a second language, whether it's something to eat, whether it's whatever it is right here. And that's basically the vision for the church, and it always has been, and it always will be, at least while I'm the senior pastor.
That sounds really good. So, David, how did Andrew become involved with the church?
How many hours have you got?
Oh, again.
It's another, I have these long-winded stories. I'm really sorry about that.
Was he part of the church in the beginning?
No. Andy and I knew each other about 30 years ago, 27, 28 years ago, when both of us were hanging around the streets. And basically, we struck up a friendship then. Lost touch with each other for quite a few years. You know how that goes. Everybody, basically goes their own directions and lives their own lives. But then we caught up with each other about 1998. He and his wife were already a part of what's now Influencers Church, Paradise Community Church at the time. He was heavily involved in all kinds of different things. My wife and I made decisions in that church and got connected to God and to other believers in that church. And so we renewed that acquaintance. It was really weird seeing each other after so many years. And then because we left Influencers Church and they stayed a part of Influencers Church, once again, we kind of drifted our ways. Isn't it great though? True friends, it doesn't matter whether you see them every single day or every single single week or even a couple of times a year or even a couple of times a decade, true friends can pick up their friendship no matter how long. Exactly. So one day, okay, that's right, I left out a step. When I had my ordination as an ordained and credentialed minister, I invited them to come and join us, and they did. And then we lost touch a little bit as well. I mean, through Facebook we were always in contact, but we lost day-to-day contact. And then one day, out of the clear blue sky, his wife rings up my wife and says, "We're going to be joining your church." And so it was a God thing, you know, that God had spoken to them about their circumstance, about where they were, and about what they were doing. And yeah, it was totally left field because we try very hard not to be perceived to be stealing, sheep stealing. So we're very careful about how we do things, the way we do things, because the worst thing that you can do. Now, you can steal shepherds, you just can't steal sheep. No, that's not true. That's not. Just edit that part out. Edit that part out.
So it was completely Andrew's idea to do the Feed the North program?
No, he had a similar vision 20 whatever it was years ago, but no, Feed the North was my baby. But basically, it's a confirmation of his prophecies over his life because he had the vision of doing what we're doing 20 years ago. So don't you love how God works together with people? And I didn't even know that was in his heart. Like, you know, when we started talking about the vision for the church, it was almost like a light turned on inside of him. And he's like, that's my vision. That's what I want. So, you know, God used both of us in his own way to bring about the same result.
Wow.
But the brand Feed the North or whatever was my idea.
And here it is in action.
And here it is in action, or at least in the very beginning. And with your help, we're going to really radically transform the North. Because we've got a great heart for people that need to be spoiled and pampered, but can't afford to be spoiled and pampered.
Life FM. Life FM.